I think the word crazy can have a good connotation to it and a bad connotation to it. And this is why. I always think that when someone tells me I'm crazy about doing something or saying something, for me, it makes me feel like I'm on the right track because it makes me feel courageous. It makes me know that other people think that, oh, she's got the guts to do that and I don't have the guts to do that. So for me, in part, it's a good thing. But when you're using it in a way that degrades someone, then for me, it's a bad thing. Yes. There are times where I'm think, how can I possibly be doing this? And maybe I'm crazy, but it fuels me and it makes me feel a sense of power because I feel like I'm meeting challenges that I've always wanted to meet, and I think we're all a little bit crazy. For me to explain that experience to somebody, to me, it's like an extreme sadness that you can't get out of and you don't know why. You don't know how you got there. Sometimes I think you can't even pinpoint it. I think you think it's just life and life that is overwhelming you. And to me, how I explain it to people is extreme sadness without knowing why. There was a time where I could not literally smile. My mouth would only go one way and I couldn't figure it out. I feel like you can't pinpoint it on one thing, except knowing that everything makes you sad. You feel like you're trying to be everything to everybody, and there's no way you can be, but the world favors youth, the world favors money, and you always feel like you don't measure up, so you're always trying, and that's tough. At this point in my life, I don't consider myself going through depression, but daily struggles in this point in my life is balancing everything because, I'm 44 years old. I had a baby, 2 years ago, which totally changed my life. And I still have a lot of goals and dreams that I want to do. So trying to balance being a mother, trying to balance living in this new space and having to reinvent myself, and then also trying to balance personal goals. And I hate the word balance so much because, what is that? Just trying to make time for everybody and everything is probably the hardest thing in my life right now. My biggest fear in life, without a doubt, is living with regret. And the last thing I want to do is to be on my deathbed saying, I wish I did this. Why didn't I do that? What was I afraid of? The biggest fear in my life has always been living with regret, and that's why I changed my life. Blogging is my biggest hobby right now. It gives me a creative outlet that nothing else does. I created it because I didn't see anybody out there who was like me. So that saying goes, if it's not out there, then you create it. And I'm an underdog and I like to work for the underdog, and that's what my blog is about. And I also enjoy just doing a lot of time spending time with my daughter. I love spinning. I'm a spinning fanatic and I haven't done it in a long time, but it's my favorite type of exercise to do. And I like to travel. I travel with my partner as much as possible, and whether it's traveling far or near, and spending time with my family, really. Well, I'd have to be honest, right now I don't have a huge social life. I mean, the community of friends that I've built living here in Quebec City, we're all moms. So a lot of the times we work a lot and then we go home to our families and our kids and stuff like that. So a lot of my social life is just with my partner, and her mother lives here, of course, and she loves to spend time with our daughter. So she gives us breaks, usually twice a month, and we'll go out for a nice dinner without having to worry if my daughter can eat something or if she's going to have a crisis. And we take our time and we come back and we relax and we wake up late and we have conversations that sometimes we don't get to have because we're running around busy. And that's probably the most of what my socialization is right now. And then sometimes we go on 2-day getaways to do stuff along with each other. But would I change it? I would like to have more to do, but I find living in Quebec City, there's not a lot to do that I like to do. We just kind of enjoy spending time together. That's my socialization right now. But I wish there was more to do because we like to party. Even though I'm older, we like to party. I met my partner in Punta Cana. And when it was actually a vacation that is just for women, for lesbians. So it was like 2,000 lesbians at a resort. We took over the whole resort, and so that's how she was there. And she was with her friend, and she told her friend on the first night, you have to get with another group of people or we're going to be by ourselves for the whole vacation. And so I was talking with some other women, and her friend said, well, look at that group of people over there. Let's go talk to them. And that's actually how we met. She came over and she started talking to us. So there was this one night that we were we were out doing stuff till really late in the night, and then we went back to someone's hotel room and we were all drinking and talking and having fun, and we were sitting on the balcony at the back, and I think I was having a conversation and I was talking about something, and she was sitting in front of me and she took off my shoe. And I'm talking, I'm like, why is this girl taking off my shoe? And she stared at me, like really stared at me in the eyes and started rubbing my feet. And I was like, oh. That had never happened to me before. Like, it was a real gangster move. And I thought it was bold. And, if you ever see my partner, she's a skinny white girl and I'm this big black girl, and no one ever thinks that we're a couple until they see us together and they realize that's a very odd couple. And I thought it was just really sexy and gangster and awesome that this woman, who was totally afraid to approach me because she thought I'm this big black woman with a bald head and I'm gonna cuss her out, that all it took for her was to rub my foot, and everyone stopped talking and was watching this as she was staring at me. And that was a nice moment, because from that moment she pretty much had me. And it's interesting because she never thought that a black woman would like her, and I never thought that she was interested in me. But at that moment we realized we were interested in each other, and that was actually the moment that led me to the life I'm leading today. So it was really special. A lot of my mental health experience, the depression that I went through, was in my 20s. And now looking back at it, it was, first of all, trying to be everything to everybody, trying to be perfect, trying to reach the top. And I sit and think about it and realize it was trying to do stuff for everybody else and not for myself. And so when I let all of that go and just focused on my health and doing stuff for myself and what I thought and not worried about what other people thought, my health changed dramatically. I can't express how much my life changed dramatically. And I think the biggest thing that I would like to tell people who are going through depression or mental health issues is to make sure you have a great support system around you that will listen to you, that won't judge you. And to know that, for me, I think a lot of it is trying to do things for others and making sure you're happy with yourself and not worrying what other people think. Because I think a lot of times that's what makes us unhappy, and that's what stops us from doing what we really want to do. And that's what makes us unhappy, and you're chasing that. And I think it's good to see a doctor if you want to, and if you don't, just have a support system. And I really focused on trying to be victorious and not be a victim. I find that sometimes we stay in that victim stage and we feed off of it and it becomes our life. And so when I started to let that go and thought, no, I want to be victorious, then I started putting systems in place in my life to be victorious. I started exercising a lot more. I started eating a lot better. I practiced minimalism and took everything out of my life that no longer served its purpose, that made me feel like I had to be a part of the Joneses, and I didn't care about the Joneses anymore. I started practicing emotional intelligence, which was a huge game changer in my life. I started opening up my circle of friends to a different variety circle of friends that made me feel good rather than made me feel like I was always in competition. And sometimes you have to reinvent yourself and transform your life and change your circle. And those could be big game changers on how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your life. Oftentimes, because I always call her like an old Jamaican man, because she used to have dreadlocks and everyone thought she was into the black culture and stuff like that. And she was like, actually, no, I just liked having dreadlocks. So I used to call her an old Jamaican man because there's certain things that only older Jamaican men do and she does them. So she would say stuff like, but you know, I'm an old Jamaican man, so that's why I like that. And I would get it, but if somebody else said it, they totally would not get it, because they'd be like, why would you call her an old Jamaican man? She's a white French girl. Just her mannerisms, the type of music she likes, how she responds to things. I'm like, you're such an old Jamaican man. And she's just like, yeah, I am an old Jamaican man. Well, my biggest advice would be, don't go through this alone. Find someone that you trust that is on your side, that you can help you through it. Know that you can be victorious and that there are ways through it. And I really believe that I really encourage people not to cover it up with anything. Don't cover it up with alcohol. Don't cover it up with sex. Don't cover it up with drugs. Don't cover it up with another relationship that is not good for you, just so you can mask the pain, which a lot of people do. I found that sitting in it and recognizing it helped me through it. But if I covered it up with something, I would not be here today feeling positive and having a conversation about it. Don't cover it up. Feel it. Surround yourself with people that support you. And know that you can be victorious.